Gandang hapon po mga kabiyaya. Are you ready for the ride of your life by way of conversation? This conversation, I could have gone on for 5 hours, I think, maybe more. The wealth of information that Ian shared with us was truly astounding. How history can teach us so much about who we are and where we have arrived. This conversation is so full of hope of what can be reclaimed. Reclaiming the relationship of our valued Aspin. Ian's love of this topic seemed to have grown by the process of writing this book. Discovery of himself and the history and the legacy of the Aspin in our culture. Hold on to your seats. Open your ears. We have so much to learn from this. Salamat, Ian. Maraming salamat. Magandang hapon mga kabiyaya. Nandito po kami ngayon with Ian Christopher B. Alfonso, hailing from Macabebe, Pampanga. Kapangpangan, marunong kumain. Right? Yes. So, he has a book. It's really like an opus. Dogs in Philippine History. And I as you can see, it's earmarked, it's dog-marked, if you want to call it, underlined. I'm going to have another copy just to keep on the side without all my ek and wek. It really traces the history of aso, of dogs in the Philippines, makes us understand that our dogs have always been part of our development as a nation. No, so anyway, Ian, go ahead. Say something. What would you like to say? What inspired you to do this? And I believe it took you 10 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Work of love.
Yeah. Actually, I started with collecting images, photos, portraits, paintings. So even 20 years ago or 18 to 20 years ago, I already encountering them through my research as a student, no?
Wait. Where did you go to school?
My undergrad was at Bulacan State University, and then my graduate studies at the UP Diliman.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So when I was in the undergrad, na-encounter ko na yung mga images, pero nagkaroon lang ako ng idea to collect them 10 years ago. So that's how it started by creating a folder in my desktop, no? Sabi ko, hindi ko na palalampasin itong mga to. I will just collect them, ganun. And then the historical notes, because this came from disparate sources, eh. Pagkukumpunihin mo sila, pagtatagpi-tagpiin mo sila. And then, my initial idea was to produce a mini coffee table book of images with dogs. And then with mini captions, of course, no? So, and then I think around 2016 or 2017, a friend of mine, Christian Cordero of the Ateneo de Naga University Press, advised me, ba't di mo lang i-expand dyan into historical essays? So, okay, sige, gawin ko ng essays, no? At hindi ko naman inaakala na ganyan kakapal.
Medyo parang kung ititimbang mo mabigat.
It's 1.5 kilos.
How many?
1.5 kilos.
Hindi pwedeng nasa bag to, no? Or malaking bag, shoulder bag, hindi pa, ganon. Yeah. Okay, and then, so it took you 10 years. And then did you keep on discovering things that made it longer?
Yes.
Did you discover things about yourself because of the process?
Yes.
What is that?
Yes. Actually, tama po kayo. I had to end my research talaga because as time goes by, dumating ang mga sources. At kung hindi ko, that's how history works eh. Serendipity eh. May mga nakikita kang hindi mo inaasahan, darating, may taong pupunta sa'yo, may kilala mo na may gantong information. Sabi ko, non-stop to at baka umabot pa ng lifetime tong pagsusulat ko. So, I had to stop it. So, hanggang dyan na lang muna. Hanggang ngayon, marami pang mga dumarating po. So, hopefully, sabi nyo nga po, may volume 2 pa. And, of course, nakilala ko rin po yung sarili ko dyan as a Filipino. Because, nagtataka ako, bakit hanggang ngayon, ang mga aso sa Pilipinas ay nasa paligid lang. I don't want to use the word pakalat-kalat, kasi we were accustomed eh. We are accustomed our culture is accustomed na ang mga aso hindi nakatali, hindi nakakulong. And kapag nakita mo yung mga aso sa kalsada, you cannot distinguish kung sino ang homeless sa may mga inuuwian. Kasi lahat sila nakikita-kita sa kalsada. That's their free space. And correct. Before the Spaniards came or before the development of the pueblos or towns, these dogs were living in a very large space like area. The bukid, ganyan. And there was this process called reduction by the Spaniards wherein the community had to be reconcentrated sa paligid ng parish o ng parokya. So kaya nabuo yung mga pueblo, poblasyon. So ngayon, nung nagdikit-dikit na yung mga communities during the Spanish period, na ganoon pa rin yung settlement pattern natin up until today, ang free space na lang ng aso, yung kalsada o yung kalye. Yung kalye is a Spanish word for road. Kaya nagkaroon ng asong kalye. Askal, Kasi nandun na nga lang sila sa kalsada. And then, magtataka rin po ako, how come in 1668, Father Francisco Ignacio Alcina, one of the greatest chroniclers in Philippine history, he was a Spanish Jesuit, and he wrote a monumental work entitled Historia de los Indios y Islas de Visaya. The history of the people in the islands of the Visayas in 1668. And may isang buong chapter. He dedicated solely for dogs and cats. So, yun yung earliest known documentation of Philippine dogs in history.
What year?
1668.
1668. Wow.
And then, kapag binasa mo yun, makaka-relate ka. Because Alcina, who was a Spaniard, was amazed of people, of the natives of the Visayas, na katabing matulog ang mga aso, hinahalikan. Mas mahal pa raw ng mga Bisaya yung mga aso nila kaysa sa mga anak nila. so parang hindi pa
akala ko asawa.
Hindi ba ito rin yung nangyayari ngayon na katabing matulog, di ba? Pinapamper yung mga aso at that time, and those dogs were actually the Aspins of today, they are Aspins. And then 200 years later, how come na naging deplorable na yung state ng mga Aspin? And in 1668, Alcina mentioned na our Visayan ancestors preferred native dogs than the Spanish dogs, like the Mastiffs and the Bulldogs. And the factor there was itong mga bulldog, Spanish Bulldog and Spanish Mastiff, yung kanilang diet ay masyadong
maselan.
Not necessarily maselan po, but parang matakaw. At hindi rin daw nila mapakinabangan sa hunting, sabi daw. Unlike the native dogs, talagang sanay na yan for thousands of years, our ancestors use the Aspins or our dogs as hunters, as part of the hunting of the games. Kaya nga po ang root word ng pangangaso ay aso. Pangangaso in Filipino is hunting eh. In the Visayas, it's pangangayam. Ayam and aso is
the same
dog, di ba?
Correct.
So talagang dog-centric yung ating hunting culture. And kaya pag pumunta ka sa Cordillera, and even our epics, our legends, our myths, laging may kasamang aso ang mga epic heroes. In even our deities, sa Cordillera, may mga aso sa langit.
Yes.
Kaya nga, I don't know if this will be part of your question, ma'am. Kahit na yung pag-sacrifice ng dog, ay isa sa mga pinakamataas na pwede mo i-sacrifice to your deities in the Cordillera sa dog. Lalo na pag may sakit ang community or ang family members.
Yes, I'm very familiar with the bontok practices in
and
Bontok. Kalinga, those areas. Oo. No, because I remember very, very well a bontok tribesman, older guy, who was explaining to me that it should really just be for ritual, for sacrifice. Kasi I was talking to the vice mayor at that time. And they were saying na no, it's for food. Sabi ko, iba naman yung pupunta ka ng restaurant at
Yes.
kakainin mo. Iba naman rin yung
Ritual.
di ba? And I mean, other cultures were known for rituals like but it's human sacrifice naman sa mga Incas and whatever, right? So I guess this is one of those things when there's a tragedy and when there's sickness nga, that's what happens. No, for me, okay, so that was then. But where did the dogs come from? Did we have our original dogs? Because I read some scientific research that it's similar to the Borneo dog. So I was looking here in your book, no, they cross through land bridges, right? But are any of those like from here mismo? Because they say about this aswang dog, right? That the aswang dog is the dog that they're trying to. You wrote about it.
Asong gubat.
Asong gubat. They call it aswang dog in some areas in the smaller towns. Is it the same as the Sigbin of Panay? I'm not sure. But when you look at it, there was a dig daw in Borneo, and it said that that dog is very similar to our Aspin. But I have a feeling we were all connected by land bridges, and if not by land bridges, if it's true that dog, no, it is true that dog was always with man. So kasama sila bit-bit sa mga boats nila or sa paglalakbay because there are nomadic tribes. They move from place to place, di ba? Especially yung ayaw makipag-away. They will move if there's a stronger human tribe. Instead of fighting for their territory, they would move. So I don't know kung kasama yung aso doon. But would you have an idea if talagang nag-originate dito o hindi?
Pero actually, I was fortunate that while I was writing this book, mas advanced pa ang mga archaeologists sa pag-aaral ng aso sa Pilipinas.
Correct.
Historians,
archaeologists and anthropologists.
Yes, anthropologists. And then sa archaeologically wise, nakita nila yung pattern ng mga aso sa mga lugar na dinaanan ng peopling.
Correct. That's what I told not migratory.
I'm not sure, no? Pero yung mga archaeologists saka mga anthropologists, hindi nila ginagamit yung word na migration.
Okay, so what do they...
Peopling.
See, I'm learning something, so I'll study that.
Even the nomadic thing, medyo na siya, medyo kailangan i-contextualize yung pagiging nomadic because it's the age of exploration for our ancestors. They came from South China, and then they traverse the strait between Formosa and mainland China. That's why in the interiors of Taiwan, there is this Taiwanese aborigine na kamukha natin.
Yes.
Especially the Cordilleran.
Yeah.
So they are the first settlers of that island, So sila yung original, kaya they are called aborigine. So their language similar to us, the customs, no? And sila nanggaling sa from Taiwan, bumaba sila sa Pilipinas. So that's the peopling pattern. So and according to the archaeologists, anthropologists like Solheim, no? That's why yung unang illustration na makikita nyo sa libro pagbukas nyo, it's the depiction of our ancestors, our maritime ancestors, no? Seafaring ancestors na may mga dalang aso. So isa sa mga dala-dala daw nila na dala-dala nila along the way, no? Ay aso, baboy, manok, palay, taro leaf. Yung mga basic na pwede nilang dalhin. So dinala nila yung aso for hunting purposes. Pig for protein, of course, and then manok also for eggs, no? And another source of protein. And then nagdala sila ng palay. So these are the goods na dala-dala nila. So lumalabas na per archaeology walang native dog sa Pilipinas, sa Philippine Islands.
So dala talaga.
They were brought along by our ancestors in their peopling.
Yung sinasabi.
Pero lately may na-discover silang canid-like na hayop sa Palawan. I forgot the particular place in Palawan, in the western side of Palawan, na around 10,000 years ago, mukhang may canid-like ng aso sa Pilipinas. Pero hindi nila ma-distinguish kung ito ba talaga aso. Pero ang pinaka-sure, according to archaeological record, around 3,700 years ago o nearly 4,000 years ago. That's why the time frame of my books is 4,000 years, di ba?
Yes.
Ni-round off ko na lang. Ito na yung mga domesticated dogs na nakita sa mga archaeological sites like Peñaranda, Cagayan,
Yes.
and El Nido, Palawan.
Oo.
At nung tinignan nila yung mga remains ng aso na yun, para silang nilibing talaga purposely like human.
Like the cats, the Egyptians burying the cats, parang ganon. Parang revered or not exactly?
Ang theory ng mga archaeologists, possibly ito yung mga domesticated dogs na siguro very important sa kanila yung hayop na yon, kaya binigyan sila ng similar human burial. Like the Cagayan and the El Nido one. These two are the earliest known evidences na may domesticated dogs sa Pilipinas. So, yun lang archaeological wise, ang theory nila, galing sila sa mainland Asia. And then, meron tayong tinatawag na phylogenetics.
Yes.
No, phylogenetics, this is a new one, pero around 20 or 30 years ago to na-develop. Tinrace nila through DNA yung aso. At most of the results, yung mga aso sa Pacific, galing sa Pilipinas. And then, yung sa Pilipinas naman, galing naman sa mainland Asia talaga. Like siguro yung Borneo, yung Thailand.
You think the galleon trade?
No, this is a pre-colonial thing eh.
Ah.
The galleon trade,
wala
silang...
wala na yan.
I doubt kung nagdala sila ng aspin. No.
No.
They brought talaga European
dogs here.
breeds,
No, I was just thinking on the way back, if ever. Kasi di ba, they would bring humans as specimens. Di ba? Okay, yeah. No. I'll go back further, no. I have to look for it, but I remember seeing it somewhere. And I read it, that even for communication, language was not developed because man would speak to man. It was developed because man would, because of hunting, communicate with his dog. That there is this theory that even how our rib cage is made, our vocal cords get developed, they imitated the growling and the barking of the dogs to call them as the first basic set of communication. And then later on, speech came. It's very interesting because even pictographical language, the way the Egyptians write, we still see today the letter M is the word. I think it's Hebrew. I'm not sure which language, but it's mem, water, waves. The Q is a monkey and a tail. We're very connected to nature.
Yes.
And our development is connected to our domesticated animals that helped us hunt, guard, company. Very much like the Indians who revered their dogs, the American Indians that revered their dogs. I mean, we can go back. You were mentioning Palawan. Somebody approached me for help in terms of how do we protect the pangolins in Palawan. O sabi ko, you just get the dogs. The dogs is the one looking for the pangolin. They're trained to look for the pangolin. It's not the humans who are going out. They're not gonna smell and see the pangolin. It's the dog, right? So you wanna stop that? Confiscate the dogs. But what are you gonna do with the dogs? Are you gonna euthanize them? They'll just get new dogs ulit, right? So it can't be a band-aid solution. So I'm mentioning all of these things and including how they say language develop. This writer, one of the writers is James Bridle. James Bridle is one of them. And they really are trying to understand our connection and our loss of connection to the natural world. And this is what's all coming out, no? So anyway, ang layo na natin.
Yes.
But coming back here, I noticed in your book there are many incredible images. Incredible images of how close we are to our animals. And like you said, what happened in 200 years? What became the thing? Why all of a sudden we wanted more purebred dogs? There's nothing wrong with wanting them, but what changed? It became part of the colonial influence. Explain, parang 'di ba peninsulares, peninsulares, you always wanted to be known as, more from the Spain and ganun to ganun. So I don't know if that's part of it, but I'm always in the search of things to be proud of as a Filipino, right? Like our fire piston was invented by a Filipino. We have a contract of 14-something where a woman sold a piece of property in Tondo. That's a big thing. That means women had rights. Women could own land and women could sell land. So I'm into these things of, what makes us proud. And I feel our Aspins should be brought back to their prominence.
Yes.
Given respect due them. Right? So you just fell in love with the images. You started to collect them. What made you? What was the fire that started within you? Do you even know that made you start this? Or it was just, you didn't know? It was just coming, you were just collecting, and what you would do with it, never mind, something made you do this.
I think I was motivated talaga to collect them because, as I said, 18 or 20 years ago, I already encountering them along the way through my research. So, sinasabi ko lagi, I will collect them, I would collect them. Pero kailan ko siya simulan? Conscious na po ako sa pagsusulat niyan. 18, 20 years ago. Paggawa pala, because sa pagsulat is just
so
recently.
The
idea. Pero because of the procrastination, saka na lang, kung di ko simulan ngayon, hindi ko na matutuntun kung saan ko nakita yung mga yan. So, the desire to collect them talaga, in one folder, it started 10 years ago when I was employed in the National Historical Commission of the Philippines. Because the NHCP have this humongous paintings depicting vignettes in Philippine history with dogs. So sabi ko, pambihira itong mga museums ng NHCP, like our Museo ng Katipunan in San Juan, Museo ni Miguel Malvar in Santo Tomas, Mabini Museum in Tanawan. Nag-procure ang NHCP ng mga paintings painted by Juanito Torres na may mga aso sa mga artworks. Sabi ko, this is a science, sabi ko. Kolektahin ko na. Kumbaga, NHCP, my office, my agency, helped me to talagang, upuan ko na tong project na to.
Parang you were chosen by something.
Maybe, and I hope so, no? Kung ganun man
no,
po.
I think there are formless, intangible things we cannot explain. Our brains cannot explain them. Our limbic brain probably can understand them, but we cannot, in speech, explain what it is. No? So meron ng parang nagbabato. Nagbabato sa inyo po.
Yes po.
Ganon. Okay.
And then, actually, I started yung idea talaga na kolektahin itong mga to when kagaya po na sabi nyo, something to be proud of, no? Kapampangan myself. And
very proud yung mga Kapampangan. Yes. Nako, may lola. Yeah. Nakakatakot.
Yes, kasi there's this painting by Vicente Alvarez Dizon entitled After a Day's Toil. It was in the 1930s. There was this competition in California, an international competition participated by Salvador Dali, by Vicente Alvarez Dizon. Our entry was this painting by Vicente Alvarez Dizon, which he already painted years before. And then he was invited to participate in this competition, and he won the first prize. And second to him was Salvador Dali, di ba? So sabi ko, I seldom see paintings in the early 20th century na may mga aso. And here, a big painting about the native scene in Pampanga. You can see there actually the silhouette of the Santo Rosario Church at Angeles, the Mount Arayat, Pampanga River, and then the setting is in a rice field in Pampanga. And then here comes at Aspin, na wini-welcome niya yung mga amo niya and then the children of the amo. Na this was painted in the 1930s, and as I said, seldom you can see paintings in the 20th century with dogs, no? Even Amorsolo, Botong, bibihira yung mga paintings sila, may mga aso.
Yes,
pero
correct.
ito, isang malaking painting na very prominent yung aso. Sabi ko, kailangan ko na lang kolektahin itong mga to at sumulat ng something. Because may question sa akin na ang mga aso, ang mga Pilipino ba talaga ay may love and hate relationship with dogs, especially the Aspin. Kasi yung mga yan, before ko ma-encounter yung mga yan, hindi ko alam yung mga yan. Kaya nga, I really believe in this in this invisible thing called serendipity sa mga historians na hindi mo hinahanap, nakikita mo at nakukuha mo. So, dito na buo yung libro na yan. Na mayroon kang research, biglang may mababasa kang something. Sige nga, kolekta until, yun nga, nabuo ko siya into narrative. So,
I think you became a magnet.
Well, I hope so nga po. No? Pero yun nga, kasi ganun talaga ang work, yung the magic of historiography, serendipity. Na meron kang gustong gawin, pero may mga nakikita ka along the way. At yun, kaya nga napaka-importante sa mga history ng, students ng history, na may note-taking, nag-note-taking. Yung ginawa ko kasi, aside from note-taking, nagsisave ako ng mga sources. Nagbo-bookmark. Well, thank you to Facebook, to social media.
Correct.
Because the past 10 years, yung Facebook ay naging agora ng iba't ibang bagay about Pilipino . Mm-hmm. Yung mga rare photos na hindi mo inaasahan na biglang lilitaw na lang kusa, kukontakin ko yung may-ari, pwede ko pa matrace pwede mo malaman saan mo nakuha to. So hanggang sa inopen ko rin kasi siya sa mga kasama ko sa discipline na may ginagawa ko itong project, baka pwede niyo ako matulungan. At kusa sila nagpapadala, like Sir Ambet Ocampo.
I know Ambet.
Nasa Michigan siya. Ian, may nakuha akong ganitong litrato, sama mo dyan. Ma'am Pili Santa Maria.
Yes.
Sabi niya, Ian, I have this source. Include it in your... So, hindi lang po technically ako ang nagsulat niyan. So, it's actually a bayadihan of scholars na alam nila may ginagawa ako and then binabato nila sa akin. So, along the way, lagi na-enhance yung pagsulat ko at yung pag-frame ko nung Dogs in Philippine History.
Felice is so proud of you.
Yes, thank you kay ma'am.
Sobra.
Sabi ko, siya ang fairy godmother ng librong to. Up until the end, until lumabas yan, talagang naghanap siya ng mga pwede bumili. She was actually the first to purchase a great number of copies.
And we're still gonna purchase some more. I bought a lot kasi, in fact, it's very funny, no? We're in Mandaluyong, right? And this is the family of the Abalosas have been running this city for a very long time, from Ben to Ben-Hur to the wife. And Consi Charis was in my last podcast. Charis Abalos Vargas, the daughter. She was the highest counselor. Now she's chief of staff of her lolo. And I had her in the podcast to talk about legislation and things like that, all regarding the dog, no? And as a gift, I gave her one. And then she said, where did you buy? I want to buy. I said, why? She goes, my dad, current, local government head.
Yes, DILG.
DILG, yun. I keep forgetting all these titles. He is super Filipiniana and he loves dogs. So sabi ko, I'll just give you another one. So now, nagpapadala ako dito ng ones from the house para mag-sign ka na lang, para maibigay yung with a signature, masikat, di ba? No, but that's what I that's what I kind of appreciate. We have to be proud of being Filipino. And being an Aspin, having Aspins is something to be proud of. Yung feeling ko. I mean, my whole life has been around dogs. And I have to say, especially a rescued Aspin, iba yung loyalty nila. Iba yung, you saw Hilda, no?
Yes po.
Yeah.
Siya yung unang, di na ako tinantanan. Umiikot tayo.
No, and what's nice about this, it's our history. So we can be proud and we can learn from history. That's sometimes learn what to do and what not to do.
Yes.
Right? And somewhere along the way, we've forgotten about this reverence to the domestic animals that help us, that we developed also because of them. No? I was looking here. Where did I see that? So here you also have dog statues around the Philippines. So I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went to Japan, I went to Hachiko's.
Shibuya.
Yeah, exactly, because my son married Japanese. So we went to see. So for those of you watching, you really need to get this book, and we will put it in the message where you can order this book. You need to be proud, and you can see. You will not need to be convinced of how important these dogs are to us as Filipinos, no? So I want to go to a very difficult topic, which is the dog eating. How do you think that started? Are you Dr. Ian or you're...
Candidate pa lang.
Candidate, okay.
Baka ma-jinx.
Baka ma-jinx. No, kasi I was thinking, shucks, I should... No, because, my husband got his... what do you call that? Postgraduate? The one with the doctor with all these little letters.
PhD.
Yeah, PhD. Ayun. PhD from Santo Tomas.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I know a lot about this Philippine stuff, is because he sponsored a book called Lumina Pandit.
Oh my God. One of the beautiful books I
will
read.
Do you have a copy?
Wala po.
Mahal yun. I will give you.
Siya po ang author?
Hindi siya yung author. Siya ang nag-sponsor, nagbayad para what's her name could do it. What's her name? The lady, the historian, the one who got mad about those burial stuff. Sino yun?
Hilda Cordero.
Marian Pastor.
Oh my God. One of the goddess of history.
Yan. Marian Pastor.
Pastor Roses.
Roses, yan. So, because he sponsored the digitization of the Santo Tomas Library, the archives. So it started first with the indexes and the restoration. So he sponsored that, right? And it's very painstaking yung mga pages. Isa-isa itatanggal, ilalagay. My God, grabe, right? And so from there he had Lumina Pandit made. No? So it's 2 volumes, no? And
2 volumes pa pala.
Yeah,
there's one.
There's a second one because makulit si Tito. And parang I want everything that we can be proud of. I'm tired of our heroes that are only what do you call those? They're all what do you call that in English? My English is nawawala.
Something fresh from history.
Yeah, something fresh, and not that they're all massacred. None of our heroes they live to tell the tale except Emilio Aguinaldo.
He
right?
lived 94 years old.
Yes, right? But everybody else was martyred. That's the word I was looking for. Everybody else was martyred. And I'd really like to go back in history. So he says, what can we be proud of? And so that book was born from that desire. Right? And so, I was saying, kulang walang aso.
Actually, ma'am, if I may interrupt you, It was actually through the current archivist of the archives of the University of Santo Tomas. Siya yung naglapit sa akin sa UST Museum.
I only know Aparicio, Father Aparicio.
Yeah, I think siya yung head ng museum, ano po. And Father Gaspar,
Yes,
Father Gaspi, ano. Siya yung kaibigan ko sa UST. And then sabi niya, Ian, sige, ilalapit kita sa UST Museum. Kasi may mga taxidermied dogs from 1800s ang UST Museum na na-feature dyan. And I was grateful to the UST Museum administration. Dahil pinayagan nila ako i-feature dyan yung aso.
Yeah, they have many things. One day, if you want, we'll go. Do you know that they have little dictionaries for certain words that are very important to us? Rice has many names.
Yes, like snow.
Like rice that's cooked, rice na dinikdik, rice na fresh, rice na ano. Gold is another one.
Yes.
Gold was so important to our culture that there are little libretos of just the dictionaries of the different kinds of gold and rice, no? Oh, see, so we're connected. That's very good. So going back, no, like here, you have the sketch of the Santa Ana, Manila, showing a skeletal remains, and kasama with the child, no, child to,
yes po,
with a dog. What do you think that's all about?
According to Touch Vitales, who has a study about this Santa Ana dog, ano? Actually, I met him because of his studies, ano? And then he was gracious to lend me, yung mga photos niya. Actually, yung mga colored photos na yan, siya nagpicture para sa akin yun. And then binigay niya sa akin yung mga sources to. Yan, yung mga aso na yan.
Yeah.
So, ang theory niya, the way na nakalatag yung katawan ng aso, talagang sinadya talaga siyang ilibing. Hindi yung itinapon lang yung katawan and then nasa tabi pa siya ng isang bata. So, kumbaga, yung lugar na yun ay grave site for human, ano?
Yeah.
Pero bakit mo isasama yung aso sa libingan ng tao? There's something, no? Meron siyang gustong ipahiwatig na itong aso na to ay possibly a hunting dog na iginagalang, nire-respeto ng community o ng pamilya na may-ari ng lupa na yun dati. Kaya ganun siya inilatag na para talagang tao kung inilibing. Same with the Peñaranda dog and the El Nido dog.
Correct.
So, yung regard ng ating mga ancestors sa mga aso talaga ay napakataas because of the hunting. Kasi sila yung tagapagbigay ng ginhawa, based on the protein.
Correct.
And then, tama po kayo, vocabularyos na nasulat ng panahon ng Spanish period, which I explored in chapter 2, na ang dami natin vocabularyos. Our ancestors had this, plethora of vocabularies for dogs, no? Pati yung pagkain nila, pag-upo, yung kanilang mga behaviors, ang dami. So malulunod ka, there are hundreds of vocabularies, Pag pinagsama-sama mo, I just only...
So that indicates to us how important.
Yes, para siyang palay, para siyang ginto, na ang daming vocabularies. Talagang inseparable ang aso sa mga ancestors natin. At itong mga asong pinag-uusapan natin ay mga aspin.
Yes.
I had this lecture at the Rizal Park for the International Dog Day, August 26, na ang sabi ko sa kanila, kapag nakakita kayo ng mga aspin sa paligid, nakikita nyo na rin yung mga aso ng mga ninuno natin, sabi ko. They descended directly from our ancestors, no?
Correct. We have to invite you. We'll tell you later why, but no, exactly. They that's more direct and pure than that you can't get. No?
So, yun. So, yun siguro yung value added ng libro, na magkaroon ng appreciation lalo. Kasi I think na-appreciate naman ng Pilipino ang mga aso. Professor Xiao Chu, one of my good friend, historian, sabi niya, pagpunta ka ng probinsya, ang mga aso doon ay majority mga aspin.
Correct.
So hindi general na nire-review, kinakahiya.
No,
ang
actually,
mga aso, sabi. So,
oo.
so gusto ko lang ding lalo pang maging grounded pa, no? Na itong mga aspin na to ay descendant ng mga ancestors, ang mga aso na hunting dogs, nire-revere, ginagalang, no? Sabi nga ni Alcina na hinahalikan, ano? At meron siyang diyan napakagandang quotation na 1668 na yung regard na nakita niya sa mga Bisaya ay incomparable sa the rest of the world. Kakaibang mag-alaga ng aso tong mga Pilipino. Pero yun nga po kanina nabanggit nyo, ano yung nangyari along the way,
Yeah, well,
diba?
that's why. And then we were discussing before we started filming na maybe then it was mostly sacrificial, the killing of the dog and the eating of the dog, but it somehow went one step further to being a delicacy. Right? What do you think happened there? And when did you think that started? Because I had this theory that when I did the research, it seemed that after the war was when it really became prevalent, yung especially in that central Luzon area and some parts of southern Luzon, this Cavite, Batangas area, right? What are your theories? Are there theories as to how and why did that start?
Actually, I did not espouse this idea, or this theory, but some of our culinary historians, in the 1980s, the 1990s, sabi nila, nagkaroon lang ng prevalent dog eating talaga nung 60s, 70s, sabi niya, o 50s to 70s, sabi niya. And then, actually, ang dahil lang yun sa sa tawag dito, yung gusto lang nilang i-test yung hanggang saan kaya ng isang Pilipino kumain ng exotic, bayawak, sawa, ngayon aso naman. So, yung aso walang problema kasi nga parang ang dating meron na talagang kumakain ng aso before before itong mga underground recipes or menu sa mga kainan, sa mga eateries, in the 60s to 50s to 70s. Kung iti-trace ko ito, kung babalikan natin sinabi ni Alcina, hindi kumakain ng mga Bisaya. And I think the rest of the Filipinos, the native Filipinos the converts, Tagalog sa Pampangans ng aso. Kasi wala naman sa kultura niya talaga. Yung like Cordilleras may ritual.
Yes.
Sa Tagalog, Kapampangan, walang ganong
ritual,
aspect ng culture nila na mag-sacrifice ng aso. More so the Bisayans, which was according to Alcina in 1668, inassure niya na mga Bisaya ay nandidiri daw kapag nakakarinig na may kumakain ng aso. Anyway, I think na-dispossess yung mga aso ng kanilang societal role because during the colonial times, Spanish period, parang nagkaroon ng suppression sa pagpunta sa gubat, sa bundok ang mga natives, the colonized natives. Because of out of fear na mag-rebellion. Kasi bundok para sa mga Pilipino, sa mga ancestors natin, ay kalayaan.
Yeah.
Diyan umaakyat kapag ayaw nilang magpailalim sa mga praile, sa mga policies ng Spanish government. So, mamumundok. And then, doon magbubro ang rebellion. So, to prevent that, kaya may term na remontados, di ba, salvajes, lahat ng mga umakyat, palayo ng poblasyon, palayo ng simbahan, ay mga kalaban ng Estado. So, to prevent that, pigilan mo yung population sa pag-move. At part ng movement, pagpigil sa movement na yun, ay pangangaso, yung hunting. Kaya unti-unti, ang hunting bigla na lang naging, hindi na siya pang araw-araw na gawain. Kasi nga, may source of protein na, alternative source of protein, like mga introduce ng mga Kastila ng mga cattle, mga baka. Kumbaga parang, ba't pa kailangan magpakahirap na mag-hunting? Meron na kayong mga source of protein pa, alternative source of protein, aside from baboy damo, usa, di ba? So ngayon, na-dispossess ngayon yung mga aso ng kanilang societal role. Hanggang sa dumami sila. At dun nga, mas naging evident yung pagdami nila kasi nga, na-reconcentrate sa mga tinatawag na pueblo at poblasyon, baryo, yung mga pamayanan, nagdikit-dikit na. At yung free space na lang nila, yung bakuran nila or yung kalsada, the common space. Kaya makikita mo, yung mga aso ngayon, instead na may ginagawa sila, para lang silang nuwisan sa paningin ng mga tao. Dumami sila sa kalsada. Hanggang sa na-invento ng term na asong kalye. And then another factor, na naging kalaban sila ng ng society when the Spanish colonial government on August 16 of 1800 announced the presence of rabies virus in the Philippines for the first time. So nag-ingat na ngayon yung mga tao. And that bando in Spanish means order of Governor General Rafael Maria de Aguilar, inutos niya na ubusin lahat ng aso sa Pilipinas. The street dogs technically, and then yung mga walang may-ari, yung mga hindi nakatali, hindi nakakulong, walang mga collar. And nag-impose din siya na in each household, kailangan isang aso lang ang pwedeng ariin nila. In excess of that, papatayin ng gobyerno. O magmumulta kapag nahuli ka nag-aalaga ng more than
ordinance,
one. May ordinance. Because of the rabies. No?
That time, yeah.
Oo. So, kailangan mag-adjust ngayon ng Filipino society sa ganong policy na I think hindi rin naging successful. Kasi after 1800, may makikita ka mga illustrations. Most prominent of this is the 1847 album Islas Pilipinas.
Yes.
Ni Lozano,
correct.
Mga watercolors niya.
Correct.
Makikita mo, pakalat-kalat pa rin yung aso sa Intramuros. Kumbaga parang hindi rin naman nagtagumpay yung Spanish government sa pag-annihilate sa mga aso because Pilipinas talaga ay very yung kultura natin, subconsciously, kinokontra din natin yung order. Kasi nga, bakit ko ikukulong yung aso ko? Bakit ko pakakawalan yung aso ko? Di naging security nightmare pa tong community. Kasi nga, noong American period, ganyan din ang problema. Ayaw na mga Amerikanong pakalat-kalat yung mga aso. No? Kasi parang, ang tingin nga ni William Cameron Forbes, sabi niya, parang, ang term niya ay, parang animal cruelty daw. Napakawalan ang mga aso. Kasi nga, tingin nila, kapag ang aso ay nakakawala, parang hindi mo siya nabibigyan ng maayos na buhay.
Okay.
Di ba? Yun ang tingin ng mga Amerikano. Ang tingin ng mga Pilipino, malaya aso sa Pilipinas. Na-custom sila dyan. Kapag tinali mo yan at nakakulong yan, mag-iingay yan. Yung reason, bakit, hindi rabies ang reason bakit nagpatupad ng pagpatay ang mga Amerikano ng mga aso sa Pilipinas. Yung somber of the night daw ay na-disturb because of the howling, barking ng mga aso tuwing gabi. Kaya pinag-utos ng mga Amerikano patayin ng mga aso na walang may-ari. Thousands of dogs were killed during the American period. At kumontra ang mga Pilipino. May mga pagkontra. One of the prominent figures ng Philippine history na kumontra dyan ay si Dr. Ramon Papa ng Manila, our Papa Station. Kumontra siya. Sabi ko, bakit nyo bubusalan yung mga aso? Lalagyan ng muzzle ang mga aso. Bukod sa mainit na sa Pilipinas, kailangan nilang huminga.
Yes.
It's animal cruelty, sabi ni Dr. Ramon Papa. And then sinabi niya pa na pati yung mga homeless dogs bubusalan nyo. Wala na nga silang bahay, wala na nga silang may-ari. Ang kanilang nakadepende nila yung buhay nila sa pag-scavenger. Sabi niya, bubusalan mo pa. So, may ganong viewpoint at that time. Although nakakatawa siya sa panahon natin ngayon, bakit ganon siya mag-argue? Pero yung innate na love ng Pilipino sa mga aso na free roaming dapat sila, lumalabas. Nung Spanish period, around 1870s, nagprotesta ang 4 na mayor ng Maynila, the mayor of Sampaloc, Quiapo, I forgot the 2 Arabal, or districts of Manila na nagprotesta. There were 4 gobernadorcillos or 4 mayors of Manila na hindi nila daw matake yung ginagawa ng Spanish government na inuutusan silang patayin ng mga aso because of rabies. Ang pagpatay ng aso during that time, nilalason yung strychnine na substance na parang betchin, Kaya meron akong chapter dyan, betchin ang title.
Yes.
Hindi kaya cultural memory to ng mga Pilipino sa strychnine. Kasi mukha siya, yung substance na yun, crystal substance yun, Crystalline substance na parang tawas, parang betchin. Ipinapahid mo yun sa karne. At ikakalat mo sa kalsada para pag kinain ng aso, mamamatay agad yung aso. Hindi kaya because of that experience, kapag nakakita ang Pilipino ng betchin, naalala nila yung strychnine. Yung betchin din naman nakakamatay talaga sa aso. Kung talagang pag sinadya mo talagang damihan yung betchin, mamamatay ang tao, mamamatay yung hayop. Pero lahat ng pagkain natin may MSG, pansit, menudo,
lahat.
Edi nangisay na yung aso kung ganun yung paniniwala sa betchin. Possibly it was product of the annihilation of dogs, And according to Dr. Nicolo Paulo Ludovice, na parallel kami nag-aaral ng dog history, he defended his dissertation before the faculty of dito sa the University of Hong Kong. At sinabi niya, pinapatay daw yung mga aso sa Pilipinas between 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Panahon na tulog yung mga tao.
Para hindi makita.
Para hindi nga scandalous nga kasi. And then pag 4 a.m., my God, hindi na raw mabilang na carcasses ng aso ang makikita mo sa kalsada. Cart by cart, maraming kariton na loaded ng asong patay ang nakokolekta ng mga basurero ng Maynila. And then ang naging designated panglibingan nila yung beach ng Tondo at Bagumbayan. Today is now the present day Rizal Park. So my God, hindi lang pala naging
for
killing fields yung ng mga bayani natin ng Rizal Park, ang Luneta.
Yeah.
So doon pala dinump yung mga patay na aso noong Spanish period.
Yeah.
So beach of Bagumbayan all the way to Tondo.
Yes.
And ngayon yung Roas Boulevard kasi yung Roas Boulevard beyond hanggang Quirino Grandstand, port area, reclaimed area na.
Yeah.
So with that, naging sacred palalo para sa akin yung Rizal Park, no?
Yeah.
Dahil hindi lang pala siya lugar kung saan nagkaroon ng pagbubuwis ng buhay yung mga mga bayani. Kundi diyan din pala partly nag-end up yung ating mga aso na pinatay during that time. And
that's
then
thousands.
More than thousands, Kasi during the British invasion of Manila from 1762 to 1764, ang mga British din nag-implement din ng pagpatay ng mga aso sa Maynila. Kasi nga napakaingay daw nila. Not because of rabies, maingay daw ang mga aso. Kaya I think 10,000 dogs ata pinatay, sabi, according to the record, ng mga British, nung British invasion. Pinag-aaralan natin ng British invasion, but not this detail.
These details. But it's important to understand how much the dog has paid its price. Has paid the price for existing. And yet, I showed you the dog there na sinunog, no? That dog is friendly still to humans. So yung sinasabing unconditional love, yung loyalty. There's still some that are traumatized and won't. Pero, no, I think it's important to note that no matter how much you euthanize, they will always be there. And that's why our mission is stray-free, rabies-free Philippines in the sense na kapon at bakuna. Kasi sa bakuna pa lang, hindi ma-control yung population. And we want to control the population to save them. To help them from disease and abuse. Kasi nga, pag madami sila, yun ang nangyayari. Right? I think it's also important to point out, which I'm not sure if historically, if there's anything, because I'm not aware. But the Black Plague, bubonic plague, if you look a couple of years before that, they did a mass euthanization of cats and dogs. And therefore, the rats dumami. And it was that flea of the rat, diba, that brought about the disease, right? And when you really look at it, what happens, the explanation that I was given and what I researched was nga, the cats and the dogs, including poto dogs, they would scavenge and eat the garbage, right? Therefore, less for the rats. And in fact, many dogs would kill rats. Mahusay sila. We have a doctor here, si Doc Diana. Her father is a rice farmer. Sabi niya, napakahusay ng mga aso para ipatay yung
in my last chapter, ma'am, if I interrupt you, sinelebrate ko yun, the last chapter.
Hindi ako nakarating kasi tinan mo naman.
Kasi yung mga aso ng lolo ko sa Bicol, sa Camarines Sur, talagang nanguhuli ng rice,
it's a different kind of rat
dagang bukid, no?
Yan, dagang bukid. It's maliit lang eh.
Magaling sila mag-hunt ng dagang bukid, ng mga aspin.
In fact, I was going to work with this Nicolo Aberasturi. He's planting high sugar content sugarcane sa silang. So sabi ko, I'll give you 10 cats and 3 dogs na medyo alam ko magaling sila maghuli. Because they lose about 20 or 30% of their production.
Because of rats.
Maliit pa lang inaatake na. Kasi matamis. And same with rice. No? I'm sure since you're from Pampanga, you know that a lot of the stored rice gets eaten and lost due to rat pee, rat eating, rat whatever, no? And in other words, dogs and cats have their purpose. Really have their purpose. And like you said, kung wala silang purpose, di pagala-gala lang here and there. So they need to be given a purpose, whether they are companion, guard, hunting, herding. Herding is another thing also, which man was able to develop. Like you said, source of protein. Because meron siyang kaibigan na nagtutulong sa kanya. Right? No, so I still don't, would you know when the eating of dog became a delicacy or wala? Just that period, you said 60s,
50s to 70s according to yung mga nabasa ko lang din na nandiyan. And it was actually na-celebrate pa siya sa mga literary works like sa Ibong Mandaraget ni Amado V. Hernandez, no? National artist Amado V. Hernandez. Yung first scene ng libro niya, ng nobela niyang yun, it's about a 1943 scene in Tondo, Manila na may mga eateries sa kalsada and then may sumisigaw na kalderetang kambing, kubang aso, may init-init pa, ganyan sabi. Sumisinisigaw sa Tondo. And then, kumbaga, consciously, nakaano siya sa mga literary works natin. And there is this short story in Zamboanga City written by a prominent writer from Zamboanga City entitled Azucena.
Yes.
Kinukwento niya na hindi kumakain ng aso ang mga taga Mindanao. Ilocano yung kumakain doon sa amin, sabi niya sa Zamboanga City. This is a short story. So doon mo makikita kung sino-sino yung mga associated sa dog eating talaga, no? And ano siya, ito mga works na to ay sinulat noong 60s. So tamang-tama sa panahon na prevalent yung dog eating. Meron pang isang prominent na kantang para siyang novelty song in the 70s, Pulutang Kubang Aso.
I don't know that.
Talagang tinolerate to ng society noong 70s na kinakanta sa radyo. You can YouTube that, talagang sumikat daw yun ng kanta. At dinidescribe paano kainin, paano lutuin yung aso doon sa kantang yun. And sabi ko, talagang tinanggap talaga ng lipunan yung kantang ito. Because siguro kung may Animal Welfare Act na noon, talagang i-abor yung kanta na yun.
But talking about your Animal Welfare Act, it seems like they started in 18-something. No? You mentioned here, or that's just the Spanish for the rabies and the stuff.
Yes.
Okay, that's not
the Queen Isabella.
Okay, all right.
Pero hindi pa yun Animal Welfare Act.
Kasi it's more for humans.
Yes, for protocol on rabies, no? At napakaganda nung nabanggit niyo po si Queen Isabella. Kasi baka akalain ng mga nanonood na napakasama ng mga Kastila. Let's remember na that was the only remedy na alam ng humanity noon to annihilate dogs. It was also practiced in UK, all over. So parang swine flu, di ba? Papatay mo yung mga baboy.
Ganun lang yan.
So ang kaibahan nga lang nito, malapit na hayop sa tao, papatayin mo. Na napakasakit, no? Kaya nga nagkaroon ng leeway noon na okay, sa ginawa natin to, pati yung mga inosenteng aso na wala namang rabies, mamamatay.
Yeah.
Kaya naglabas ng decree si Queen Isabella II noong 1860 something, no? Na inaano muna na ito muna yung observe nyo na sakit na i-exhibit ng aso. Pag matamlay siya, ganyan. Kaya wag niyong patayin basta-basta yung mga aso. At napakaganda, napaka-motherly nung kanyang pag-describe ng kanyang order na sinabi niya na wag niyong i-discriminate yung mga asong homeless, mga stray dogs. Dahil kahit sa loob ng bahay niyo, sabi niya, yung mga asong hinahalik-halikan nyo, pinapakain nyo ng maayos, binubusog nyo ng pagmamahal, pwede rin magka-rabies, sabi niya.
Yeah.
So the discrimination was addressed by
Yeah.
Queen Isabella.
This rabies, this is the thing that I don't understand. It's at least documented 3,000 years ago, right? The first documentation between 2,500 to 3. I'm not sure, but I know I read somewhere.
Yes, although I'm not privy of the
the
history of rabies per se.
Oo. And I'm just wondering, how come it's not yet been solved?
In the Philippines.
All over the world. There are, I don't know how many thousands of people all over the world that die from rabies.
I think it's actually cultural na eh. If you will just, nabanggit ko rin dyan, yung World Health Organization na approach nila on eradication of rabies, nalagay doon as one of the factors is culture. And it says a lot sa Pilipino na kultura mismo yung number one nating kalaban.
Well, I'll tell
kasi,
you.
Kasi yun nga, lagi ayaw nating nakakulong yung aso. And of course, kaya nga yung last chapter ko dyan, it's a chapter about our family, home, yung title. So, kumbaga binalik ko sa bahay namin yung kwento ng Dogs in the Philippine History. At doon ko in-emphasize na aminado kami na kami ignorant sa sa health protocols ng aso. Ang daming asong dumaan sa amin, never namin napabakunahan. At sabi ko, ilang pamilyang Alfonso pa ba ang meron sa Pilipinas na ganito ang buhay?
Madami.
No? So hindi ko pwedeng sabihin na produkto kami ng kamangmangan, Pero I think siguro the government dagdagan niya pa yung kanyang effort, no?
That's why we're pushing, right? I mean, when I go up north, they don't even have smartphone. Maski analog, wala. Nasa taas ako ng jeep, nagma-megaphone. Free bakuna, free kapon, ganon. And they don't see the value. And what happens, it's happened a few times where nabakuna yung aso na meron ng start ng rabies at namatay. Ang nangyari was, the bakuna became the fault of why it died.
So, na-intensify pa?
Yeah, na-intensify pa na don't make bakuna kasi mamamatay lang yung mga aso nyo. As close by as Alfonso Cavite, because we have our sanctuary there. So, nag-iikot kami, nagbibigay ng free ganito. And many times, tinatanggihan kami. Kasi, yun nga, bakunahin nyo, baka mamatay lang yung aso mo. So, don't anymore make bakuna.
So yun. So it's a drive, no? Information campaign drive.
Information, and that's why we're making a very active push for all of these things. And often when I go around, I'll say, kasi we have an arrangement with the city veterinarian na will help you. So lahat ng indigent pwedeng pumunta sa amin. We will give free bakuna or free ligation or castration because nga sometimes when we have the big drives, hindi sila nakakasali kasi they're working or they're tired or they're tamad, right? And they don't come.
Or another factor is kapag kasi doktor na pinag-uusapan, medyo hesitant ang mga Pilipino dahil nakakatakot, di ba?
Yes.
So,
No, definitely.
May ganun pa rin.
Of course. When I talk about, sige, pakapon natin yung aso mo, gumaganon yung mga lalaki. As in, akala mo sila yung kinakapon. Right? So, there's that idea. But,
saka yung pagiging, ako, from my personal experience, ang tingin namin sa mga veterinaryo, sa anything about may kinalaman sa veterinary, pang elite.
Yes.
Na gagastos lang tayo dyan.
Yeah.
Pero kung may ganito opportunity naman pala, na igagrab yan. Pero yun nga, kailangan talaga ng massive information.
Massive information drive.
That's why yung aking chapter 20 dyan, my last chapter, gusto kong ipakita na sana wala nang Alfonso family sa Pilipinas na ganito mag-isip. Na ignorant sa mga ganito na pwede pala.
I'll tell you what happens to us. If we go to a place, and I'll say, okay, concentrate tayo dito hanggang medyo na ubus-ubus na yung iba. What happens is, in the beginning, we'll only have 100. Free, everything free. Only have 100. We come back after a month or 2 months. Walang nangyari sa 100. Ayan, nagiging 200, 300 na. And they want to test the waters to see, are you here just to kill our dogs and our cats? That happened in Baguio. When we went to Baguio, first day 100 something. Next day 200 something. We did a 4-day drive. Next day 300. We made 1,000 something dogs by the end of 4 days. Because it's a trust thing din, di ba?
So, and you are penetrating a culture.
Correct. And no, like for example, one of the, I won't na lang mention his names, one of the PNP heads in a province. I said, oh, can you help us? Kasi sa animal cruelty, parang sabi ko, itong lugar na to, itong bahay na to. Sinasabi na it's dog meat trade. Ganito, ganon. So anyway, after a few meetings na, he sat with me and he goes, I don't understand you. Sabi niya sa akin, why do you need to kapon? Why don't you Kasi ako, may kubo ako. May kubo ako na may mga aso ako dyan protecting my whatever. And I said, let's meet in the middle. Sabi ko. Kasi yan, dogs are free, dogs are whatever. I said, let's meet in the middle. I know may pagka-Western yung thinking ko. Kasi I'm Western educated. Even if I went to local school, college is Western. So sabi ko, there's also protection of the population. That's one. Or for example, we know that our Filipinos don't really take care of their dogs in that sense. No, especially in these areas, you see a lot of strays. Pinapakawalan nila yung aso nila para makakakuha ng ibang pagkain here or there, right? And per se, you don't think anything wrong, but after a while, na-abandon sila. Or they get TBT, it's a kind of cancer, sexually transmitted, right? And then, the minute they see may galis or may ganon, they don't want to take care anymore kasi they think of the veterinarian na mahal, ganon, right? So, let's meet in the middle, sabi ko. Help us na lang disseminate the information that, we have this clinic, you can bring your animals here, we won't charge you, we'll just get it fixed. And then, in a way, make them understand. Kasi, when I talk to the older people, the older Filipinos, bakit naman kailangan itali? Wala naman problema. Pag sa akin, growing up, ganito, ganon. I said, okay lang kung at your time, you're 80 years old, sabi ko, baka wala pa masyadong maraming aso. Pero ngayon na maraming aso, naghahabol yung aso sa nakamotorsiklo, nakaka-aksidente. Tapos, right?
Nuisance na talaga.
Nuisance, yeah, exactly. And how do we also protect the animal? So, that was what I understood kasi I'm very careful about the word education. Which I told
Medyo may pagkaano siya, parang nakaka-insulto.
Yes! Elitist, di ba?
Oh.
So, parang, what other word can I use na parang, no, it's not about education, but it's sharing what is for the benefit of the human and the animal at the same time. Kasi parang, ang kala mo sa akin, wala akong education. Parang, yung education namin is hindi dapat nakatali yung aso. Nagbabantay si aso or whatever. You get what I mean? So, I'm trying to understand from their culture. We're talking about culture. And then, and I think these things are an ongoing development because nga, sa dumadami. Things have to change a little. That's why you need your second book. Your contemporary. Nako, ipupush. I will keep pushing you.
Yung conclusion ko dyan, yung epilogue dyan, yung nabigyan ko na rin siya ng kahit paanong context, no, na medyo ang complicated na ng problem ng Pilipinas sa aso. Meron tayong 22 million approximately aso sa buong Pilipinas. 22 million. Ilan
They
dyan?
say 15 million is stray.
15
Stray
million
or,
stray.
free
Oo,
roaming.
oo. So, ilan dyan ang bakunado na? Ilan dyan ang maayos ang buhay, di ba? So,
You know how many regions don't get access to bakuna? We had to go to a tourist destination, I won't say. It was reported to us, rabies outbreak. As in, the rabid dogs are entering the homes, biting people. May namamatay na tao na. Right? Why? Kasi 7 years daw, hindi
nabakunahan.
Yeah. So we did 9,540 bakunas and left the remaining, we brought 10,000 with private vets to give. Kasi island, so we might be able to, island and smaller group of islands. We did 1,300. I mean, I'll share you pictures na nagkakapon under that coconut tree. Nagbabangka kung saan, 1 hour bangka, naghihintay ng tides and all of that. All sponsored by us, right? Why? Because rabies is a painful disease.
Yes.
For human and the dog. And nobody should be subject to it. But like what we're saying na, some regions don't even get the supposed, that's an agency yung rabies, they should be getting, but for what reason? We don't know. Is it the government? Is it the local government? Is it, who knows what it's all about?
Yes, and the mere fact na we set as a nation na by 2030 wala nang rabies sa Pilipinas.
Pero very hard. Kaya nga, yung kapo ng solusyon ng pinupush namin. Kasi, let's say, 20%, let's say if you do bakuna in one area, cats and dogs, medyo, na yan, very low estimate na when you come back next year, you'll need another 20% more. So if you only have X budget, and you don't increase the budget the next year for your bakuna ng rabies, 20% is big. So stop production or you try to lessen the production so that you can, even with your own dogs or their dogs, they can take better care for the dogs. We're trying to also animal wellness, little things like deworming. Because the deworming is also tao pwedeng mahawa sa bulate. Right? Ringworms and stuff like that. So, hopefully, but it has to be, you have to find the kiliti of the LGU. You have to find the kiliti of the person on the street. Minumura kami. Ako, namura na na parang, bakit kailangan ikapon? Or And I was like, you can't afford one dog. She's pregnant. No, ibibigay ko yung isa. Isa lang bang magiging tuta? Di kung 3 or 4, anong mangyayari na sa extra 2 or 3? They suffer. They are born to suffer. In other words. So, paano na? Right? So, you have to really keep a cool head. And it's a really long view. And yung sinasabi ko nga, which I say in every single podcast, we're really like Moses. We're not, I will not see, I don't think, I'm hopeful, but I will not see the day when there is no rabies. I don't think I will see the day when there is no stray on the street. So these are, again, seeds that are planted for somebody else to take shape.
Yes.
And this book gives us our history, reminds us of the importance of community. Dogs are a part of community, right? So there is a symbiosis and an endosymbiosis where something joins something and completely change it versus working just together, right? Animal welfare. And like you said, there's an energy. There's a bad energy when something bad happens. And I think it gets deposited in some sort of bank account. And in the end, the humans pay for that. in some strange way. And I know it sounds kind of funky, but that's just my own feeling. Kasi talagang, when you talk about the thousands that died, the dogs and all of that, so parang let not their death be in vain. Even if it's 200 years after. And that's where history is important, to remind us. And perhaps we might not have a memory, a real memory, because we weren't born there, but ourselves, like you said about the vaccine, about the thing, ourselves might have some imprint from a memory passed on by our DNA from our ancestors into our own bloodstream, into our own, that we don't understand. Right? Yeah, so, Ian, tell me, we need another 2 hours, but you gotta catch a flight. What would you like to say? Really, guys, you wanna understand yourself, you wanna understand the Philippines, you read this book. You get to understand yourself always through somebody else or something else or something you're doing, as when we started our conversation, right? And it's something, that's why I keep underlining. I have paper clips, because at the end of the day, it might not hit you. You don't make the connection, but it hits you. And you say, okay, earmark this or whatever, because there's something here I'm not getting. You're not supposed to get everything right away. Like you said, it took you 10 years and hopefully not 10 years for your part 2. But what else would you like to tell our audience, your audience? Because this is you. You've put your life into this. So please, what would you like to say?
Yes. As I always say sa mga lectures ko, na the root word of kasaysayan is saysay, It's value, essence, worth. So, hopefully, this book may serve something else, aside from documenting the stories, So, sana makita natin ang mga sarili natin dito, the way we see ourselves. Upon reading this, upon writing it, na ang dami pa natin dapat ayusin sa lipunan natin. At isa ang problema sa rabies, And of course, the responsible
pet parenting.
Parenthood. Responsible
parenthood. I don't like to call it ownership eh.
Yeah.
I wanna call it parenthood. Magulang po kayo.
Magulang, na through history, magbibigay siya ng dignity sa'yo na ganito pala nila inalagaan noong unang panahon to. How come na nangyari to ngayon? Ano yung pwede na i-correct? And we are all excited to enter the future. At yun sabi nga ni Rizal, let's enter the future with memory of the past. And we are entering the future. We're all excited to live today and be or have a brighter future. Pero let's use history to not only to dignify us, to give dignity in us, but also wag nating ulitin yung mga nangyari sa nakaraan. Dahil nandyan umuulit lang yan dahil hindi tayo natututo. Yeah. And this is the purpose of this book, na matuto tayo at let's celebrate yung ating mga aso, especially the aspin, and our culture of being perero.
Yes.
That's I think the most beautiful thing for me in that book when I discovered that word perero. Perero was introduced to us by the Spaniards when Christianity was introduced. Perero was among the valued role in the church, layman to. Ito yung mga ngayon ay nagbibigay ng mga lay ministers ganyan, mga ng kokolek sa simbahan. Perero tawag sa kanila ngayon, Perero at that time means ibugaw yung mga aso, palayasin yung mga aso sa simbahan. And eventually,
because of the root word pero which is dog.
Perero, tagabugaw ng aso, tagapagpalayas ng aso. Pero noong 1889, there was this linguist named Pedro Serrano Lactao. Iba na yung meaning ng perero. From being a harsh, introduced to us na magpalayas ka ng aso tuwing misa, and by 1889, iba na ang meaning. it became Philippine na, no longer a Spanish word. It's a Philippine word na, borrowed from Spanish and with a Filipino meaning. And it means ang taong maibiging mag-alila ng aso. Alila at that time means to adapt no? So, hindi kaya yung mga perero ng simbahan at that time, as Filipino like us today, hindi nila maatim, hindi nila matake na pinapalayas yung mga aso. Ang ginawa nila ng mga perero, ang naging role nila, inampun na lang nila yung mga aso. Nag-evolve yung meaning ng perero 200 years after or 300 years after. And it gave us, it bequeathed us a beautiful meaning. Perero means taong mapagmahal, taong mapag-ampon, maibigin sa aso. So, tulad nung pag-evolve ng perero, we can change the life of these dogs, by instilling in us na every dog deserves a loving Filipino home. I inserted the loving Filipino home because yung Filipino yung factor dun
Yes.
But tayo nagmamahal, Humanity, it's a universal thing to love dogs, But the Filipino factor, the Filipino flavor,
yes,
it makes it distinguishes it's a distinguishing factor na may Pilipino sa pagmamahal sa aso at nandito sa kasaysayan ng aso at nasa kultura natin yung Filipino love na yon.
Yes. Oo. Ay, nako Ian, medyo napaiyak ako. Kayo po ay isang biyaya.
Salamat po.
Thank you po. I can really say na kabiyaya.
Salamat po.
And hopefully we will develop this further. And salamat po to give us your time. And nakaka-touch lang talaga to meet someone like you. Learn so much from someone like you, and we can all learn from each other and be bridges to a better future for our Aspins po. Maraming salamat
po, ma'am.
Okay. We want to thank Ayala Malls for our podcast, for a sponsor, and Cafe 2.0. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Risa. And please get a copy. We'll put it in our comments of Dogs in Philippine History. Talagang magiging proud po kayo. Ganun po ang kailangan. Sa Spanish po ay sinasabing amor propio, which means a kind of pride, a kind of self-love. And that is a proper kind of pride po. Hindi po pride chicken. Pride na meron kang magandang ginawa. But that normally comes from actually doing something good. It is a different kind of income. Yes po, it's an income. Psychic income. Sa Tagalog ay sinasabing nakakataba ng puso. Right? Nakakataba po ng puso. And so anyway, we'll leave you for this so many questions, so many answers, but more importantly po is to have a good questions, and the answers will come. Guys, Ian, baka next time I see you, so hopefully not too long, baka Dr. Ian ka na lang. I will call you Doc. We're giving him this t-shirt.
Wow.
I kissed the dog and I liked it. And that is our Aspin dog. Here po. Thank you.
Salamat po.
Salamat po. Okay.
Galing.
See you later for the next podcast at Podcasts. Thank you very much. Ingat po kayong lahat. Love your animals. Bye-bye. Hello mga kabiyaya. Barks and Burps, a Podcasts, is composed of 3 people. Me, Rina Ortiz.
Albert Gamino.
Alcer Pineda.
We are here to discuss anything under veterinary services, rescues, adoptions, TNVR, animal welfare, responsible pet ownerships. Anything and everything as well in between. Kung nais po ninyong magiging isang biyaya sa aming mga alagang aso't pusa, please comment below or message our Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you. Maraming salamat.